Captain, Starfleet just signaled your transfer of command orders, sir.
Captain, I appreciate the welcome.
I'm Josh.
I'm Steve.
We are back with another mission report, and we've got quite a bit to talk about. A little catch-up episode, kind of like the last one was, but hey, we'll have them sooner, we promise. We got a lot of Trek coming up that I'm sure we'll be talking about.
Not as extreme as the last one, but yeah, it's still a little catch-up.
Right. Steve, I don't know if you'll ever finish Discovery. So there's your spoiler there. I think we lost him in season 3.
I was done after about 3 episodes of season 3. So we can discuss whatever, and I will not give any shits.
And then that's when he signed up for therapy, because holy fuck.
Right? Yeah.
Like, sorry for everyone out there who likes Discovery. Like, I think we both liked it in the beginning, but it just kind of got ridiculous. And I still watch it, and I watch all Trek, and I really hope for the best, but I don't know. The writing and the creative teams, you can just kind of see through what they're trying to do, and a lot of it feels really pushy in a way, like not like how Star Trek could disguise it, kind of have you come to your own conclusions, like, oh, wait a minute, that's a metaphor for this, you know?
Yeah, it's very contrived.
Yes, and yeah, it's just language and shit. Like, they were so more reserved before, and I miss that a lot, and I hope we get back to that someday. I hope so, but look at Star Wars. They're not cursing and saying F words and stuff. They might say shit, but they're
also not crying every 9 seconds. I mean, where's the poise that Star Trek used to have over Star Wars?
Well, and better people have pointed out to me that I followed about, Star Trek is like, these people are on starships. They're supposed to be the best of the best. They are all emotionally compromised. Like,
yeah,
you can't.
They're basket cases.
Yeah, it's like if you were on an aircraft carrier, you can't have the whole crew crying all the time. Like, what the hell? This is real shit out here. We can't lose it. It's just. I
know. I just flew back from Texas, as I think we talked about on the last show, or maybe not, or I was going to. Anyway, either way, I just flew back, and if I would have walked by the cabin and saw the pilots sitting in there yelling at each other and crying, I'd be like,
open the door.
What in the hell is happening?
Yeah. Just jump out on the tarmac before it takes off or whatever.
You can just drop me off at whatever city's down there.
Yeah, right.
You can just throw me out of the plane.
Or like an hour goodbye when you're supposed to shake hands, when you get off the plane, and they're just like, we had such a great time, and there's, tears and hugs, and I'm going to miss you so much. Like, sure, I just met you, but okay, yeah, all right, I gotta go.
I'm just trying to get to my hotel, dude.
Oh, we can share. No, get away from me.
Right, exactly.
Stalker. To get back to better times, Star Trek Voyager Documentary. We're getting more and more of a glimpse of it, and it's going to be called To the Journey. Steve, how do you feel about this news?
I cannot wait. Voyager was one of my favorites, which may explain my lack of taste. I don't know, but
whatever.
Right? I'm super, super, super pumped up about this. Voyager for me is like a comfort food. A lot of people can go back and watch an episode of The Office, when they're just doing something mindless.
Yep.
Yeah, that's how Voyager is for me. You throw on any episode, and I'm just happy to sit down and have it on.
Yeah, that's great. I don't know if I ever finished it all the way through, but yeah, I did like Voyager, and I remember being there for when it premiered with my VHS, getting ready to record it. Like, I was all about that, so I was really excited, when that first premiered, and we got 7 and 9 from that show, another Vulcan, Tuvok, so many things. And it always bummed me. I didn't find out till later. At the time, I thought it was genius, I think. But like Tom Paris's character, I thought he was the same guy from the episode with Wesley in TNG where the pilot dies. Do you recall that one?
I do, but yeah.
Yeah, yep. I thought he was, because he played in that episode, and he was one of the cadets, and he's kind of like the leader who was like telling them the lie about the accident. Anyway, because Tom Paris started out in a prison colony or whatever, and I was like, oh, this is great. And then I found out later they didn't want to pay creative fee for the person who came up with that character in the TNG episode, so they just did a whole new character who basically kind of is the same character. So it's really stupid. But the team who made the 2018's DS9 documentary, What We Left Behind, they're behind this new documentary, so I have so much respect for them, and I know it'll be a good documentary. I don't know if you did see the DS9 documentary. I know you were still finishing up on DS9, but it's very good. I love it, and it's just very unique. I'm
halfway through the last season now, and so once I'm done with that, I'm going to watch the DS9 documentary.
Oh yeah,
but it was
you'll love it,
man. Cannot wait, and I've heard nothing but great things from you and other people about it. So I'm excited to dive into it. I mean, because Deep Space Nine is a gem in itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, this Voyager documentary was the most crowdfunded documentary to this date. I guess they raised $1.2 million. And you can still support it out there with some perks. There's Tuvok Rocks shirts you can get, I guess, for
nice.
One example there. Some other stuff. But yeah, I believe the teaser for that is dropping today, I think 7 o'clock, which is odd. Anyway, that's what the site told me when I was clicking on it. So, yeah, unless I just had a bad link and everyone else was like, dude, we can see it over here. So join us.
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's exciting. You know, I'm looking forward to that because, you know, they'll interview every cast member, reflect. DS9 really did a lot of cool, interesting things. They actually had enough funding, and I don't know if Voyager will do this, but DS9 actually put a writer's room together for a fictional season 8, which was really cool. There was storyboards and all kinds of stuff, and yeah, it was really special. You definitely got to check that out once you finish DS9. But yeah, the same team. This can't go wrong. This documentary. So more to come on that. Star Trek 4. Here we go again. That should be the subtitle.
Right.
Yeah, so Paramount had this expo, might have been a month or 2 months back, and announced yet again that Star Trek 4 was happening. And supposedly they were going to start shooting the film this year. But bad news was, after the announcement, the cast didn't even know about it. So it's like, okay, well, you not only failed scheduling them, because, you know, they have other projects, some of them. Also, you failed at the negotiation of their salaries, because now they can say, oh, well, we want this amount of money. We're not playing ball. You already announced it, so, you know, that's where we got you. I don't know.
Yeah, it led me to believe that they were doing it just to create buzz and try and maybe guilt the cast into doing it. Otherwise, the fans will think they're all jerks.
Right, exactly. And they've announced this project many times. After Beyond came out, they were going to have Chris Hemsworth come back as Kirk's dad. I have no idea if they're going to try that storyline still, but they kind of try to get some buzz moving, you know, for people to show up for Beyond, and it underperformed, so that went away because Chris Hemsworth and Chris Pine alone are expensive, so, and in high demand. That's why they're expensive. But and also Carl Urban, he's doing The Boys, so it's like, shit, can he even come aboard? Literally, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And if he does, are we gonna have a McCoy with a beard? Because, you know, you might have a Henry Cavill situation where studio does The Boys, doesn't want his character to shave his beard, so you got that whole thing to think about too. So I don't know, a lot of factors there, but I love what Chris Pine had to say recently. He totally gets it. I think he's grateful for Star Trek. He credits it for his career he has now. He loves the cast, and that's the same with Carl Urban. He's looking forward to getting back with that cast. They're all very friendly, so that's great to hear, because you wouldn't have heard that with the original cast.
Oh, hell no.
But yeah, he himself, Pine, said that they always targeted like a universal appeal, and he thinks Star Trek should not be kind of forced to bring in all that attention, I guess, because it's always kind of been lower key, you know, like it's not like Star Wars in a way. It's more critical thinking type of material. Basically, he was saying they shouldn't Marvelize these films, you know, don't expect billion-dollar profits, which, yeah, that just that shows a lot from his character, I think, you know. It's
and he's right.
He is, yes, yeah.
What's the last Star Trek movie that made $1 billion?
Right, none of them. I mean, even together, the JJ films maybe, but well, yeah, they did, I'm sure, but yeah.
Nonetheless, even per capita back in the old days,
yes.
I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, I don't know. It was just,
right.
It was, I saw his comments and I agree with you. I mean, he was absolutely spot on. And
yes.
I feel like he gets it, you know, and to have him in the captain's chair is just, it's fun to think about.
Yeah. And there's so many questions to be answered. For instance, you know, Anton Yelchin, you know, rest in peace. He passed in 2016, I think, right before Beyond premiered. So, what do you do going forward? Like, do you recast? Do you kill off the character? Or you just not feature that character? I don't know if you have a preference with that.
I'd say they recast it personally,
yeah,
but at the same time, I mean,
yeah.
I'm sorry, not recast it. They cast a different character.
Oh, okay, yeah. So just like maybe.
Sorry about that.
Oh,
yeah.
that's fine. Like Chekhov, kind of like Star Trek 2, like Wrath of Khan. He gets shipped to another position, maybe off the ship. And
he's either that, or even, you know, he died in between movies, and
True.
they had some sort of, you know, cool.
Yeah.
Little memorial, and then start on with the story. There's different ways you can honor that character, but
right.
You know, he was, again, you know, while those movies may not have made $1 zillion,
right?
They were all really true to their characters, and you know, he played Chekhov, you know, brilliantly.
Yeah, I mean, they all made a profit, just not what Paramount was expecting, and probably J.J. Abrams. It's the Marvel, not Marvel necessarily, it's the Avengers curse. I knew when that first Avengers made $1 billion, you know, the expectations were just going to be ridiculous from there on, you know, and yeah, to think Star Trek's going to generate that much, obviously.
Everything has to make $1 billion now.
Right, and
that's ridiculous.
To credit Robert Meyer Burnett is a guy I follow, and I've sent you some of his videos. He's a huge Star Trek fan. He did a great movie called Free Enterprise, which we should talk about sometime. He said, you know, if it was him, you know, they would just make, like, the budget would be like $25 million, you know, and you'd make that back for sure, like Blumhouse style, except the star power, that might be a little difficult, you know. They'd have to take a pay cut. So that would be the problem with that. But I really applaud Pine for saying that, because I think that's so true, and they definitely need to think about that, the studio that is, going forward, you know, especially if you want to crank out some more films. You know, there's a lot more stories. He even said there's more stories to tell, and you know, it's been 7 years since Beyond. Lots happened in that time. You know, we got Discovery and all the other 5 Star Trek shows we have now, which, you know, if you would have told me that back then, I would have been super excited, like the 90s are back. But, you know, not to get off on a tangent again, but, you know, just because there's more of something, the quality is lacking, you know, I think.
Yeah.
But it is nice that Star Trek's getting the attention, and it also adds to the confusion, though, too, because, I mean, we'll get there. Strange New Worlds Season 2, they got a Captain Kirk or a James T. Kirk, and also Spock they have from Discovery Season 2, and Pike. So they have a lot of confusion going on, right? Like, because these new Discovery was supposed to be a Prime Universe show outside of the JJ verse. You know, it was supposed to actually take place and fit in before TOS. That didn't happen in the end, and so there's so much confusion right now as to what's going on, you know, with this whole universe. So I don't know, I want to see a 4th film. I think it's going to confuse a lot of people unless they multiverse it, which I guess they could do that, but I don't know. It's just kind of a mess right now. It's just to me it seems like the creative types are just throwing, you know, shit at a wall and see what sticks, you know, and it's just,
exactly.
Yeah, with this IP though, it's like it's just getting tarnished, I think. And sadly, if all this does plummet eventually, it might be quite some time before they take a crack at it again, or they wise up and they kind of do the Star Wars thing. Like if you look at, I'm not saying those shows, the prequel shows they've done, they're not all perfect, but they do honor the tech and the universe itself. You know, it fits in just right, and that's what I want Star Trek to do if it's going to go back to the past, right? Because that's the problem. Right. If we were in the future, all this new tech and fancy shit would make more sense. But of course, that's what Discovery did. They went to the future, so a little too late.
Yeah, so
but
it could kill that argument, right?
Right. But yeah, this new film will be produced by J.J. Abrams, and Matt Shakman is directing. He directed WandaVision, so yeah, maybe it'll happen. I don't know. It's so weird for them to announce it like that, and then the actors are like, "What?" It's just kind of want to tell people if you're going to do something like that, but we'll see. I know, right? I think it was just a PR thing, but I do want it to happen. I do. Getting back to something that's fantastic to me. I'm not sure if you've even ever seen Star Trek the Motion Picture, the director's cut, but that has premiered yesterday. We're recording on April 6th, so yesterday was First Contact Day. Happy First Contact Day, everybody. Steve? How'd you celebrate? No, I'm kidding. A lot of people probably didn't even know it was First Contact Day.
I watched the most recent episode of Picard.
So there you go. See? You did it right. But yeah, the director's cut's finally available. Was last September. They put all the Star Trek films on 4K for the first time. And a lot of people at the time were like, hey, where's the director's cut of the motion picture? Well, they announced that was still being worked on and is coming, or at the time it was coming. I think we talked about this on the last episode. That's how long it's been. Yeah. We try to do an episode a year, guys. So
right, at least.
Yeah, 2023 is going to be great. It's
going to be the best episode ever.
Yeah, totally. So finally this director's cut premiered on Paramount Plus on April 5th, First Contact Day. It will be on home video sometime in September. Fathom event, which actually last time we talked about a Fathom event Bill and I went to. Steve wasn't able to make it. Star Trek 4 screening, which was in 4K, remastered.
So jealous.
I know. Well, you have an opportunity because, May 22nd, they're going to start the motion picture director's cut screening, and that'll go on for like a week, I think. So
I will be there.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I look forward to it. I'm so excited they announced that. But for now, yes, you can totally watch it on Paramount Plus. I started watching some of it. It's really cool. They've done modern tweaks again. So yeah, the whole story of this was, of course, this film was originally released in 1979, and it was a unique film. It started this whole, I guess, seasoned films off the television series, and it kind of just trend kept going for the TNG cast. But yeah, they took the TV actors, which I think was just something you never thought would happen, and they put them into films, and it was just like crazy. They didn't bother recasting. Yeah. So yeah, Star Wars. You can thank Star Wars for this movie getting made, for all the Star Trek films we've gotten, because Paramount needed something just like it in a way, and the film itself ended up getting a few Oscar nominations for set decoration, visual effects, and original score. Of course, that score by Jerry Goldsmith, the iconic theme they carried over to TNG. Yeah,
I used to have that soundtrack on vinyl.
Oh, God. Well, vinyl's back though, so you don't have it anymore. It'd probably be worth a fortune.
I sold it all way back in the day, but I wish I didn't. I never thought it would come back.
I know, that's why I'm keeping my VHSs. Right, they're going to be valuable.
I know. I've kept all of those.
I'm not trying to age you or anything, but you probably had the advantage of seeing this film when it first came out. What were your thoughts about the whole experience, and of course, what you saw, the music? I mean, it's just awesome.
Yeah, so I was like around 10 years old when it came out, and I remember, my dad introducing me at age maybe 4 or 5 to Star Trek, and because all the reruns from the TV show were on.
Yeah.
And so I loved everything about it. And so when you know, as a 10-year-old and this movie comes out and it's after Star Wars, you know, I was one of those few people that didn't pick a side. I liked them both, you know,
same.
Yeah. And I just remember seeing it and thinking, it just blew my mind from a visual effects perspective. And some people thought it was a little slow and it was a little, you know, maybe just a little bit out there and trying a little hard to showcase some of the effects.
Yeah.
Especially, you know, when you have the Voyager piece and they're getting out of the ship and the whole thing. But I still, as a 10-year-old kid, what's cooler, right? You know, than to watch that.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it was the most expensive Star Trek film I think ever made, especially for its time. And yeah, it was the scale was enormous. Like, you had so many locations, you went everywhere. It felt like a ride. And I've only appreciated it more as I get older. You know, it's just I think it might be
30 or 40 times.
Yeah, it's almost my favorite Star Trek film. I would say it's the most. I think you could say it's the most Star Trek of the Star Trek films, if that makes sense, just because of the villain. Because, well, more like an antagonist. The other films were villains, except for four. Four dialed it back. But yeah, you had Khan, who, you know, it was very violent, all that. And that kind of became a trend. Yeah, yep. Their budgets also got cut. So, which I never knew. I thought they got more money as they went, but no, it was like the reverse, which was terrible.
Which was terrible because, I mean, you know, critically, the movies got better, supposedly, right? You know, but I don't know. I felt like the first Star Trek was just really good sci-fi as opposed to just kind of action or villain oriented, you know?
Yes.
That happened to be set in a sci-fi setting. And, you know, whereas the first Star Trek, the motion picture, was just fun sci-fi.
Yeah, right. It was like very 2001. I mean, that's probably, you can thank the effects team who took over for the first effects team because they failed to produce anything. But Douglas Trumbull did 2001, Close Encounters. Take that in, you definitely see that in this film. Also, John Dykstra, who was, I guess, on board for Star Wars. So, yeah, these guys only had 7 months to complete these effects, to catch up. And this is why Robert Weiss, the director, this was like a bad taste in his career, basically. His career's mouth, I guess you could say it that way. This production was just doomed. A lot of people didn't know that. Like, it was rushed. They had a set date to release it. And so, yeah, they had to get all these effects. And then while the director and editor were, working on the film post, they had to scrap scenes because they didn't have the effects shots for them. So we lost a lot of stuff. In the end, Robert Weiss was very disappointed that his version was compromised. I mean, they say they had to cancel some screenings because the film was still wet from the printing and all that. Like, it was rushed big time. But for it to turn out the way it did is still a miracle. But the director's edition, which came out in 2001, really made up for all of that. They were finally able to go back and just remaster everything. This team, the restoration team, partnered up with Robert Weiss. They got it to a fine product. It was the first time it was released on DVD, I believe, the motion picture. I bought my copy around that time. But yeah, Robert Weiss, he ended up loving the film and he was very happy with it. And he passed away 4 years later, so that was kind of a great send-off, I think, for him career-wise, to right a wrong, because he really didn't want to talk about it before. It was that painful.
Even Shatner didn't like it at its release.
Yeah, well, and there's a story about Shatner and Nimoy because the script was kind of a mess, they say, and Shatner and Nimoy were trying to come up with ideas themselves, and I guess Shatner came up with a really good idea, and Leonard Nimoy said, you should tell so-and-so, and then he told so-and-so, and then so-and-so was like, you should tell Gene Roddenberry, and he did, and by the time it was like telephone, so by the time he got to Gene, I think about it, the idea kind of started getting lost, so it lost its footing, I guess you could say. But with this 2001, it was done before HD came around, so finally the team got to update. The same team, minus Robert Wise, of course, got to update it with current technology, and they even added in a few more things. So yeah, this is something the fans have been wanting for a long time. So it's
I want to see that because I've seen the director's cut a lot, you know, and I own it on VHS and just so much stuff. But I don't know. I still walk around the house randomly, and I say Colinar, you know, just like a weirdo. You know? Right. There's so much cool stuff out of it.
There's so much, and they really did. From what I've seen so far, they've done a fine job. I can't wait to actually own it, you know, for my 4K player. To me, the director's cut is the best edition for the motion picture. It's the most complete, and it's a beautiful film. I really think it is. It's just a grand in scope, and it's something I hope they try to tackle again. You know, something that big of a story, and the effects and everything like that. You know, but we'll see. I mean, they want to make Star Trek kind of like shoot 'em up, you know, action savvy, and I think you lose a lot. You know, in the beginning when JJ was doing his remakes, I was excited. I was like, yes, I like seeing action, you know. But you do lose a lot of great story, I think.
You do, and it was one of the last old school movies that that took its time, you know, and it moved at its own pace.
Right.
And you know, even with Wrath of Khan, you know, you had a much more driven, action-driven, and faster-paced film. And you know, I've made jokes on the regular podcast before about how much I love the 70s TV because, you know, I can just watch them drive a car for like 9 minutes straight while they're going somewhere, you know, and it was one of those, I think, last big sci-fi movies where it took its time doing its own thing, you know. So
yeah, exactly. It was bigger than just a film. Like, it was an event. It felt like. It still feels like, you know. It's I like it. I mean, the older I get, like I said, I enjoy it even more, and I love that Enterprise shot. I don't care what people say. They had to show that thing off. It was the first time it was cinematic, and they remodeled it, and it's just iconic. It was still able to be iconic on its own looks, you know.
Yeah.
So it's fantastic. So everyone out there should go check that out. It's very good. If you're not a fan of the motion picture, check this version out. I think you'll be pleased. So Paramount Plus. Strange New Worlds, Star Trek Strange New Worlds, that is. We finally got this show we wanted from Discovery Season 2, I think, anyway. We'll see, right?
We'll see.
What'd you think of the trailer that was released?
Yeah, so I thought it was cool. I don't know what's going on with Spock's hair, but beyond that, I am excited. You know, I mean, Pike is it's Anson Mount, right? The place Pike.
It is.
Yeah, he was my absolute favorite thing about Star Trek Discovery. You know, and if they can at least carry at least half of that over, I'm probably just gonna like it. You know,
right.
So I'm really excited for this.
It looks beautiful, like the show itself. Like, it looks very expensive, and I wish they would have borrowed more from the Cage, like cast wise or crewman wise. Yeah, they've made some interesting choices that I'm not crazy about. For one, Nurse Chapel, she's going to be a veteran by the time Kirk gets command, and that doesn't feel like it matches up quite well. You know, it feels like she'll be a doctor, I should say, by the time Kirk takes command, which, spoiler, season 2, they've already casted a young Captain Kirk, Paul Wesley, so there you go. He's I think he was on a vampire show. I mean, he looks good for Kirk, I think, but I'm nervous. You know, again, it's like, maybe you guys should just reboot the franchise already. You know, I feel like they're really erasing things now, you know, versus when I started Discovery, it was supposed to fit in. Now it's like, well, we're kind of going to redo our own, or make our own version of Star Trek, if you will. And that's fine if they want to do that. I personally won't treat it as canon. I will definitely go along for the ride, but just the Enterprise alone it's not Kirk's Enterprise. I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that Picard did in season 1 was when he went into Starfleet Command. I don't know if you recall this, but there's a hologram image of his Enterprise, the Enterprise D at the top. Yeah. And then it changes to Pike's Enterprise from Discovery. So
Right.
that really was like, why did you guys do that? You know,
Yeah.
if it looked the same, it wouldn't be a problem. But I do see a lot of aesthetics that I think work pretty well. You know, I do like the uniforms better. I think they look pretty good. I like Anson Mount's hairdo, even though there's probably a lot of gel in that.
Right.
But it looks cool. It's happening, and
Better than mine.
yeah, hell yeah, I'll take it. So I do think Spock's hair is better than it was in Discovery season 2, like at the end. His sideburns though is what's weird to me. Is there's some shots they look
on there.
Yeah, some shots they look great, and then some they're like they won't end. You know, the tip just
like
keeps
they're alive.
It's like, yeah, they just took a marker and they just kept going. Like, someone was sick that day on the makeup department or what? But the other thing that makes me nervous is, and it really screws up canon. You know, like I said, you probably should just toss canon aside, I guess, at this point. But you got a descendant of Khan on this ship before Khan, you know.
Right.
So it's like when they encounter Khan, they never mentioned. Obviously, this was not written during the TOS era, but it definitely does not fit in. You know, because they would have Spock would have been like, "Hey, I did serve with a Noonian scene." You know, I just
look at it like it's not canon at all.
Right. Yeah, it's not. I'm not trying to hate on it. I think it looks beautiful, the show, and if you're going to reboot, I guess that's just how I'm going to see it. Unfortunately, you know, because I still
absolutely.
think I would have been more with Discovery too. If I would have applauded it more if they actually tried to honor what the looks were before, but you know, maybe use more attractive material. Like, you know, if you blur your eyes, it looks the same, right? Like
exactly.
The sets, like, it would be so cool. Like, everyone loves retro now. It's like, why don't you just bring that back and just put more detail in it, you know, on everything. That's how you
it's
update
more advanced than TNG ever was.
Right, and that's the big problem. Yeah, the ships are huge, and sickbay's massive in this new Enterprise. I'm not trying to hate on it. It looks, I can't wait to see it. I'm looking forward to it. The new Lieutenant Uhura. I don't know how I feel.
Uhura, yeah.
It does not feel like she's going to become Nichelle Nichols, so I kind of think the casting's bad there. But again, it's like, I feel like they're giving us TOS characters, you know, and it's like, why can't they just have their own characters? Just like, you know, Michael Burnham. Why does she have to be Spock's sister? Why couldn't she be another Vulcan family's sibling? You know, something like that. Like, build on your universe, make it bigger. This just feels so.
Just cashing in on the names. It's the same.
Right.
It's the same complaint people had about the Star Wars, the new ones, about how it's all about the Skywalkers.
Yeah.
Well then,
exactly.
Keep Spock's name out of your mouth.
Right. But
Will Smith.
Yeah. Right. Woohoo! Yeah. Oh God. He's gonna be in Star Trek. Another villain. No, I'm kidding. But they got Dr.
Captain Slappy.
Captain Slappy. That's good. Here's your Oscar. They got a character though, Dr. I'm gonna probably butcher this. Benga. I guess he was in the original series. He made a few appearances, or at least one. So I do applaud that. Like, to me, that's what you do. You get these characters that kind of popped up here and there, and you explore them more, versus we're going to yank a ton of characters that have already kind of been defined. You know, it's just like, it's like a cash grab. It's like, just stand on your own characters, you know? Like, what's the deal? Some of these are very interesting choices, and I hope number one's better than she was. And I like the idea of Rebecca Romaine playing number one, and Ethan Peck's a great Spock, I think.
Yeah,
but
agreed.
Yeah, I want number one to be. It was that interrogation scene was so silly. I thought in Discovery season 2. What's your name? Number one.
I know.
You know, it's like, come on, this is stupid. So she actually is cast with the name Una, I think. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. But man, already in the trailer, there's a lot of sex. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Lots of jokes. He didn't take that very well. I'm like, oh fuck, okay. You're on a starship, man. This is like, whatever. Or just tell jokes. But overall, the show's very attractive. So I'm just nervous about the cons. I'm nervous about all these characters we've already seen elsewhere and what they're going to be doing.
Yeah.
And Kirk, I'm very nervous about, because
just cashing in on the name. Please, God, let's get viewers, so let's pull this in.
It's like they're rebooting backwards, right? It's like, oh, we're going to start with canon, and then if that doesn't work, we're going to panic, and we're going to be like, oh, what are the names people know? Kirk, Spock. Yeah, it's just, it's really annoying, especially when there's so much. There's other ships out there, by the way, you know, in the Star Trek universe. That's one of my, I love the Enterprise, but one of my big problems is, can we just get another damn ship, right? Like, we got Voyager, thankfully. We got the Defiant. But, you know, if you want an Enterprise, why don't you do an Enterprise B show? Or C? Or, you know, in the future, G, or whatever the hell, you know? It's just redefining something that's already been defined and is loved, right? Extremely loved and respected. That's just my problems with it. But overall, it looks great. I'm excited to see it, so...
Yeah, definitely.
That'll be premiering in May.
Right around the corner.
Yep, it is. It is. There's so much Star Trek. It's crazy. Yeah, so the main event, Star Trek Picard, Season 2. Both of us, I think I can say we didn't really care for Season 1. There was some moments and some terrible payoffs. R.I.P. Maddox, you'll be missed. Love that. I love that character, you know, Measure of a Man. We're going to bring him back, and, oh, this is so interesting. And then he just gets killed by someone who's already on the who's still on the show.
Exactly.
And it's fucking crazy, but whatever. She'll joke it off at a bar. So
Tilly Part 2.
Yeah, really. Yeah, no shit. What are your thoughts so far with Star Trek Picard Season 2? I think we are 5 episodes in. 6 will be coming out tomorrow, I believe. I could be wrong, but yeah, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so a lot of fan service, clearly, you know.
References, yep.
A lot of references, callbacks, and, you know, yeah, kind of updated, you know, scene stealing. And I really feel like I love half of this show, and I feel like the other half I could really do without.
Yeah.
I think the Borg Queen is super interesting, being cut off from the hive. And,
yes.
You know, there's just some really cool stuff there. I think... And I love the character 7 of 9, being a huge Voyager fan. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I know they hired her for looks and all this other stuff, but, I mean, she actually created a very compelling character in that show. And,
yep.
You know, I kind of expected maybe her to be reacting differently with the Borg Queen around.
Yeah.
You know, instead it's kind of focusing on other Tilly and...
yeah. Well, Picard hooked her up. That was stupid.
You're right, you know.
Jesus.
So, and you know, you have Q in there who, you know, is it necessary that, you know, he's the villain? There's still a lot of payoff to come, hopefully, but we'll see. I just, like I said, I like half of it. The other half, it feels a little contrived, like Discovery.
Yes.
Mixed in with some pretty cool.
That's what I fear too. Like, they have none of these new Star Trek shows. I guess you could take Lower Decks and oh gosh, what's the other one? It's on Nickelodeon. Anyway, you could take those out, but the other ones have not stuck the landing finale wise to me. And I am sick to death of universe ending villains. Every damn season we have another. It's like, why can't it just be like, hey, this planet it's war, you know, like a Ukraine situation. Wow, look, you're relating to what we're going through, you know, something like that. But no, we got to have these wormholes and shit open up, and the Borg and all that stuff. But yeah, I will say, along with the ratings of the show, was excited from the beginning. First 2 episodes I thought were pretty solid. You know, I liked where we were going. And then when we got to the 2024, it started getting really like, just, I'm not interested, you know. A
little hokey.
Yeah, with Rios and everybody, and the decisions seem really stupid. Like, let's plug Agnes into the Borg Queen so they can access some coordinates. That won't go wrong, but it did. And then, hey, let's leave Agnes alone with the Borg Queen. That's a great idea. And then, hey, did you guys know she can fucking hack into phones and shit and summon a security guy or a cop? Like, holy shit, you guys didn't really think this through. Like, what was going on here? And then the last episode, I'm just jumping right there. That was the big reveal. She did get assimilated, I guess you could say, because she, the Borg Queen, that was the best thing the show had going, in my opinion. Annie Warshing, I think that's her name. She's playing the Borg Queen, or played the Borg Queen. She was actually on Star Trek back in the day. She was doing a great job. I really loved the Borg Queen. I think it's safe to assume this is not the same Borg Queen First Contact, correct? Because there's other Borg Queens or some shit, like...
Well, there are different actresses, I know.
I just don't know if they're like, it's still the same Borg Queen. Like if they lose a queen, they go find another one. Maybe it's a hiring process. To be honest. Yeah. This one's very squid-like, octopus-like. I was digging her until Agnes blew her away with a shotgun. But, but she was able to get close enough to get assimilated. So that's going to be interesting to see the Borg Queen, like, in her mind. I don't know. And we also got this descendant of Picard who's freaking out just 3 days before the real launch. That was funny in the simulator. It's like the guy was, he was like, oh, it's fine. 3 more days to launch. Like, okay, well, I think your astronauts are losing their shit. You got to abort the mission. Like, this isn't going to work.
Yeah, we had to introduce depression into the mix.
Yes, yes. Everyone has seen shit, experienced trauma. No one in New Trek has had a great life growing up. There's always an explosion in that tale or some shit. Right off the bat, it's so much is like thrown at us. Picard's mom, never knew her. She appeared in one episode of TNG, I think. It was like a hallucination or something, but yeah, I don't know where we're going with that. Like his dad was abusive. She told him to look up, in their vineyard, and then
And who taught young Picard how to run? What the hell is that?
They're like, this is the best we could do. Sorry.
Yeah.
It was just a short man, probably. He wasn't a kid.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they kind of hint at maybe that mysterious Borg Queen that the Stargazer encounters is his mom, which it better not be. That's going to really piss me off. That's stupid, I think. But I don't know if we're going to go back to the mom. Like, there's so many things being thrown at us, and I just fear and kind of know that they're not going to make this stick. None of this is going to stick.
Right, exactly.
But, like you were saying, references. I did get a kick out of the Kirk Thatcher. They brought that punk back on the bus from Star Trek 4. He's got a new song, but he's still rocking a boombox.
I loved that part.
I did like it. I did like that. But it was one of those, I like that, but you fuckers, I know what you're doing. Like, hey, this plot sucks. Look at this guy. It's like, yeah, I like that. But I
just liked it because of the guys, the actor and the guy who did it, his excitement for it, and
Yes.
So I was just really happy for him for that.
Oh yeah, and I was happy to see him back. Just my first thing was, there's just so many references about Kirk's Enterprise, and it's like, you have your own references, but whatever, because they're encountering a lot of TOS stuff, which is fine. It's fine. I think I just get annoyed, and I fear that they're gonna fuck it up so bad, But I guess you can just treat it like it's not canon. I think that's how you kind of get loves and beliefs out of the way when you watch this stuff. But
yep, exactly.
But yeah, Laris went from a co-worker of Picard's to a love interest. Her husband died, which is like, how'd he die? Like, they were fine. And she wants Picard. It's like, I couldn't help it. It's like, gross. Like, what? No.
Right. She's 712 years younger than he is.
No shit. Yeah, it was just like, why? Why do we need this? And she's also playing that actress is also playing a Gary 7-like person. Very interesting. That's something I wish they would have, that was going to be a backdoor pilot, I guess, back in the day, for TOS, and it just never came to be, but I do like them bringing that in. I just don't know if it'll stick the landing. I don't know, there's just so much, to take in. Q wasn't, I was nervous about that in the beginning, but I love how they did the nice de-aging of him. Like, he appeared to be like old Q, and I thought they did a good job with that. It made sense. Guinan did not, although I would have been fine if they never mentioned that she's older instead of what she
Right.
said, like, well, I decided to fit in. Like, what the hell are you talking about? You're like 700 years old.
Exactly.
And this is another thing that's bothersome. Picard was on after Trek or whatever, which that show's hard for me to take because Will Wheaton's practically on his knees, if you know what I mean, with every creator. It's like, dude, you're just phony to me. And I hate to think that way because I did really, I liked him many years ago. And I still want to, but, I don't know. I guess it's show business. He wants a job or something. But 10 Forward,
Comes across a little too much.
Oh, it's really like over the top. Like, dude, dial it back, please, just be authentic here. It's hard to watch, but they tried to say 10 Forward on TNG was called 10 Forward because Guinan's bar on Earth was on 10 Forward Street or some shit, and it's like, no, that was because where it was located on Enterprise D.
Yeah.
Deck 10 Forward. Like, what is wrong with these people who are running the show? Like, do your homework. Like, and then young Guinan, that was interesting, but holy fuck, she's a badass with a shotgun. Like, not Guinan at all. She's seen shit. Yeah. She was in Time's Arrow, season 5 episode of TNG, I guess, where they went back in time, the 1800s, and met Guinan for the first time. And but she didn't know Picard in 2024. So that screwed up a few things there, and she had a lot to say about, white men traded their hoods for suits and blah, blah, blah. But then people say, well, if you go look back 1800s, that was worse than 2024. Right. So like what Picard was telling her, things do get better. Like Guinan of all people should know things get better because she's been on Earth for like 500 years at this point or some shit. It's so crazy how they're just kind of selectively taking things, but not respecting what came before. It's just really screwed. Trek doesn't have a great record of sticking with their canon. TNG messed up things. Even the films especially messed up things here and there, not minor things. Well, Cochrane, for instance, that was a huge retcon, you could say.
Yeah, exactly.
But the exciting thing is, I did love the Stargazer. We got to see that was really cool. I thought the Elcar's return were fantastic. You can thank, the vets returned. You could say Doug Drexler, Mike, and Denise Okuda. They helped with all that designing. So that's really what it has going for it. It has almost all the elements I think we love from our old Trek, and the writing just needs to get a little bit better, in my opinion. Like, it's just...
Yeah, it's so close to being a good show.
Yeah, it just feels like we could cut a lot of this shit. That's what I feel. And so we'll see about this Europa mission, whatever. His ancestors supposed to discover something, life on another planet. We'll see. I don't know how I feel about this. The last episode, they again try to do the Mission Impossible shit. Like, how do we get in? And then they play some music, and it's like, okay, all right, this is kind of dumb, but all right, whatever. Ocean's 11, here we go.
Until he got in.
Yes, right. Yeah, I want to like these new characters, but I just have, as I say that, season 3 cast announcement came out yesterday. Yeah, Steve, would you like to name off the new cast members for season 3?
Yeah, so in season 3 of Picard, hold on to your hats, peeps. We'll have, of course, our friend Patrick Stewart.
Oh, sweet.
He'll be celebrating his 99th birthday next year.
Happy birthday to me.
Happy birthday. And then, of course, we'll see Jonathan Frakes and Marina Sirtis back again. We saw them last season, and
yes,
that'll be cool. Brent Spiner we've seen this year, and he'll be back again.
Yes.
And so that's really awesome. But, a couple other people you may or may not have heard of. LeVar Burton.
Yes.
Geordie LaForge. Michael Dorn as Worf.
Yes.
And Dr. Crusher. Gates McFadden. So... yeah, we're seeing everybody's coming back.
It's about fucking time. I think that's what we always wanted from Picard.
Yeah, and I'm hoping with Jonathan Frakes' involvement, I have some more confidence, but so I hope that comes to pass.
Yes. It is odd they did do this cast trailer. Like we were talking before the show, it's kind of like, please just keep watching season 2. It's gonna get better. We're gonna bring you back, everybody. We promise. Please watch. God damn it.
Yeah, exactly. They had to, maybe it's like a Star Trek 4 thing. The other cast members don't really know yet.
Yeah, right. What? We're back?
And Michael Dorn's like, what?
They better not fuck with his makeup and try to make it like Discovery's Klingons.
Oh my God.
I will be like, fuck you. I'm out. I'm sorry. I think Dorn's got a lot of respect for that character, and I think he's going to definitely tell them to fuck off, if they're like,
I hope they do.
Change it up a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
come on.
Get away
Leave
from
it alone.
me. Yeah, exactly. I'm excited. This is what I wanted. I'm sorry. The Picard itself is overall pretty boring, and I don't, it's like we need the other people back,
Yeah.
I don't know how we'll go on in a journey with them, if they're going to be separate or together. I don't know. I'm excited. I'm excited.
I hope Jerry Ryan's still involved, only because I'd like to see her interaction with some of those other people.
I think, they will keep most of the cast that we got now. I mean, they've gotten better. The writing is better, but it's still not quite there. There's a lot of crap, that we need to get through. It just feels like it should just be a long movie at this point instead of like a big show,
Yeah.
But yeah, Brent Spiner, I'm not sure what they're going to do with that, Data somehow, B4, Lore. I mean, that's the other thing. Lore's still out there. That would have been really interesting in season 1 of Picard to bring Lore in.
Right.
Like, that would have been fucking great, but whatever. I'm not in charge. Not trying to hate on Picard. I do think season 2 is definitely an improvement. I think it's...
it is. And again, it's still just super close to being a really good show, and but not quite there, but it's close, closer than Discovery, and at least in my opinion. But
the quality is definitely better than Discovery, I think.
And I love Rios.
Yeah.
I think he's a cool character, man.
I liked him as a captain of the new Stargazer. That was great. Like, give us that. Like, let's get back to there. Eleanor being killed off. That I didn't care for that character, but I was excited for him being the first Romulan, full-blooded Romulan in Starfleet. So I was excited about that. That was really kind of a shock. They killed him off.
Yeah, he was like a Romulan Legolas from Lord of the Rings.
Yes, right. They're borrowing a lot of things from other franchises. That's the problem. They don't really set. They don't try to do their own thing. They kind of like, we need this guy and this person and blah, blah, blah. We need a drug addict. Raffi Go.
Yeah.
That's just...
Yeah, exactly.
That was so comical in season 1 with Raffi just, staggering on the bridge with a bottle of... I mean, it's like, what happened to this utopia? I didn't feel like they were fucked up people still. Like, we all got our shit together. That's how we became explorers.
I wouldn't have hired 99% of these people for a job.
Right, exactly. So, yeah, Rios is a cool character. I wish he would have combed his hair, though, when he was a captain on the ship. It just felt like he was still like, I still don't give a shit. He has a cigar. But, that's kind of nitpicking. Obviously, there's still more shows coming, but I do think Agnes is that mysterious Borg queen in the end.
Yeah.
Makes sense, I guess, but I don't know how this is all going to tie up for season 3. It's so weird, again, for that cast announcement, because they show Picard writing in a journal. He's got glasses, which is cool, but they're supposed to cure vision. Like, it's just confusing. I don't know what they're going for. Yeah, so obviously Picard got out of the situation, so it'll be super interesting. Unless this season they just reset everything, which I'm okay with. So
or they continue it into next season, and he needs the help of everybody else.
True, that could be too.
Who knows?
Hopefully, in the next couple weeks we can tackle the rest of Picard right before Strange New Worlds, and whatever else news comes our way about Star Trek. So, not to speak for both of us, but yeah, we're huge lovers of Star Trek, and I think we know it can be better, and it seems to be getting that way. But yeah, I have a lot of problems still. Maybe that's just, me. I don't know. I wish I could just be like a lot of fans and I don't want to have to turn my brain off for all Star Trek, I just feel like it should invoke some thought, and I just feel like this new shit does not do that. It's very actiony. So, but yeah, hey, it's well produced. There's like 20 producers, so of course it's going to be, but please join us next time. Same frequency.
Kirk channel.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Same frequency, exactly right.
Yes. Set phasers to stun, all that jazz. We will be back. I'm Josh.
I'm Steve.
Take care.
Warp point 8. Point 9. Warp 2, sir. Warp 7.